Sonic games have changed over time, but just how much have they changed, and why so many people believe that Sonic had a rough transition into 3D? Like a few, I'm here to answer that question. Welcome to a retrospective of Sonic 3D games. Originally for this video I was going to play Sonic 3D Blast, however the Sega Genesis emulator I planned to use did not want to work with me and decided to be funny and stop me from playing the games. Starting off with the Dreamcast and GameCube era, Sonic Adventure 1 and Sonic Adventure 2, with their GameCube variants included as well. Both games show the amount of care and effort Sega put into them. The games themselves show how Sonic evolved into 3D since Sonic 3D Blast. All of the characters have very good movement and controls, and this makes for two very fun games to play, whilst having the classic Sega charm about them. The 3D graphics were revolutionary for the time they were released in, which unfortunately doesn't hold up to modern standards. Whilst everything was cleanly made out of polygons, the game was ambitious for the graphics it was trying to achieve, and in doing so, it ended up being the two most popular Sonic games to date. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said about the next three popular Sonic games. Sonic and the Black Knight was Sega's way of trying to come up with something different, which was combining the hack and slash genre with linear level design, which in concept is a good idea. However, it just slows the game down and gets extremely boring really quickly. However, this time around, the characters and models are no longer made out of polygons, which is a shock horror, I know. The transition from GameCube to the Wii for Sonic was impressive, even though the Wii doesn't render models in like the Xbox 360 or look as good as the latest and greatest consoles at the time. Ignore my style. At the time of their evolution is clearly shown by playing the games themselves. Sonic is now smooth instead of blocky, and out of place enemies also got the same treatment, except the games themselves just aren't fun to play. This also stands for Sonic and the Secret Rings, which I also had the displeasure of playing, as well as Colours, which out of the three Wii exclusive games was the best one by a mile. These games were far more impressive than the other two, with it having impressive background design and a slight upscale in graphics. However, it still has the same evolution shown as the last two, which is just a graphical upgrade. Finally, moving on from Nintendo's grasp on Sonic games, we now move to the Xbox 360 and PS3 era. The two games released on these consoles were Sonic Unleashed, which was Sega's own version of the TV show Twilight, and Sonic Generations, a celebration of Sonic's 20th birthday. Starting with Unleashed, we see that the two consoles are capable to surpass the Wii by miles due to their far better CPU and GPU. Unleashed once again has smoother models for everything and had hub worlds, which is where you talk to NPCs to progress the story. And so they aren't that important to my point, but the change from menu flipping to find levels to walking around fully decorated versions of real life countries was extremely impressive. I find it important to note that the countries' names have been changed, but there is clear inspiration. The modern Sonic levels are now more open, which was done to encourage exploring to find the game's Sun and Moon medals, which are a game feature and once again are not important to the point I'm trying to make. However, when it comes to level design and almost unnecessary gameplay, look no further than the Werehog. In Sonic Unleashed itself, the Werehog is not great at best. Preferably in the game when you are meant to be going fast and actually enjoying yourself, the Werehog slows you down, and it is just not fun at all. Now I will say that, in my opinion, the Werehog stages can be fun. There are a few that do, in fact, stand out. However, it's just not fun to play. But Sonic Unleashed itself, showing 3D evolution of these games, does show that with dedicated GPUs and CPUs, games can look so much better than they can on any other console, mainly due to the Xbox 360's better graphics, as well as the PS3's better graphics. I'm ill at the time of recording this, but ignore that. Speaking of dedicated GPUs and CPUs and better graphics, in terms of evolution for Sonic Unleashed, I would say the biggest thing that is noticeable is the level design. and why it needs to be spoken about, because this is actually quite impressive. Now, moving on to Sonic Generations, this game was, as previously stated, a celebratory game for Sonic's 20th anniversary, or birthday, or whatever you want to call it. Now, in my opinion, this has got to be one of the better Sonic games I have played in a while. Now, why does it take Sonic's 20th birthday for Sega to make a good Sonic game? I have no idea. However, all I do know is that the game itself, at its core, is so fun. It takes a lot of style from Sonic Unleashed with the whole open, not open, but slightly more open, modern Sonic levels. That made no sense, but we're going to move on. Whilst the classic Sonic levels at their core are 2.5D gameplay that have better graphics but with slightly worse controls. Now, this game is very similar to Unleashed in terms of showing evolution as a whole, as there really isn't much, and the only thing I can say is that Sonic Generations graphically looks a lot better than Sonic Unleashed does. Now, I don't know whether this is due to the fact that Sega put in more effort to this game, but the graphics quality nowadays does show. And so, in my opinion, the main evolution is not too dissimilar from Sonic Unleashed, which is slightly disappointing. However, for games that were made for the same console, I think they do their job. Thrown out, and the whole 3D evolution thing just gets thrown out of proportion. Mainly due to the fact, sorry, my script is all over the place. Yes, I will be keeping this in. I find it important to note that I am struggling to read this because I have not spaced this out properly. However, now we're going to move on to Sonic Frontiers, which is what I meant to say about 30 seconds ago, except I didn't. Sorry. Let me just find Sonic Frontiers on here. Yeah. So circling back, I do think Sonic Generations looks graphically better, and the game itself is more fun to play. But moving on. So, Sonic Frontiers is where the whole 3D evolution gets thrown out of proportion, mainly due to the fact that instead of going zone to zone, Sonic running through levels as fast as he can, Sega decided to put in open world islands. Now, this is extremely impressive for a solid, good game, and would have been revolutionary if fans had not already made games like this. Look no further than Sonic Utopia and Green Hill Paradise Act 2. Those games came out ages ago, and Sega had only just realised that maybe they should start doing them themselves. Now, Sonic Frontiers has grown in popularity since its launch, in my opinion, due to the free content updates. Now, I am not too sure whether that is because it is getting more publicity, but I think the game shows how well Sega can make a game when it comes down to the wire, mainly due to the fact that if this Sonic game flopped, Sega would no longer release any Sonic games and move towards TV shows, films, and anything other to do than games, pretty much. They were going to scrap the whole game idea, which, in my opinion, was going to be a bad idea anyway. And yeah, they would have just moved away from the whole games, which is disappointing. However, it does make a lot of fans happy, as this game did succeed, so they didn't have to do that. Now, Sonic Frontiers included customizable acceleration and mobility controls for... Sorry, let me just... I'm circling back again. They had, customizable acceleration, which made it slightly easier to play. So, Sonic could run as fast as he dreams, or he could move as slower than a snail. Or it was, basically uncontrollable. Now, this is what fans have been asking for, and so this clearly shows evolution, but the main aspect is in the island themselves. Unfortunately, this game does suffer from a lot of pop-in, so you'll see island challenges that just appear in front of you, and in front of your very eyes. However, once again, the 3D evolution really does show in the island itself. There are, I believe, 5 islands to the game, which does follow the exact same storyline of collect the Chaos Emeralds, defeat the Titan, and move on to the next one. Now, I do understand that in this there are a lot of Sonic games I have not mentioned, i.e. Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, Sonic Forces, Sonic Riders, and a lot of other Sonic spin-offs. And whilst many people would consider the storybook games a spin-off, I do think that because I was able to play them, I should. But some of the other games I was not able to get right, or won, or working, or even have in my possession. So, on the whole, Sonic's transition into 3D has been rough since Sonic's 3D Blast. Everyone knows this. However, in recent years, Sega have improved so well on how they execute Sonic in a 3D environment that it is very impressive, and I do think they do deserve a little bit of credit when it comes to knowing what is good for the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise. Which also, circling back, is clearly shown in Sonic Mania, which was developed by Christian Whitehead, who did the Sonic CD mobile ports, along with Sonic 1 and Sonic 2 for mobile. It was also developed by a few other companies. I'm not 100% too sure on what those companies are called. They are on the title screen of the game. Most chances are I will put the companies in the description of this video, as well as the games I have reviewed. But yeah, so I think on a whole, Sonic's 3D evolution is shown, and I do think that Sega could have done better when originally planning for Sonic in 3D, and I do also think that every now and then they have an idea and don't execute it very well at all, which is a shame, as I think that some games are actually quite good. I think Sonic 06 is a very good game, except for the fact it has so many glitches it is nearly unplayable. Now, if you do want to play Sonic 06, there is Project 06, and I can't remember the creator of the reboot, because that is basically what it is. I can't remember the creator, but I'm pretty sure there's loads of YouTube videos out there. You could go and play Sonic 06, which is obviously now just called Sonic 06 Project 06. Also, bear in mind, there are also some, as I mentioned, Sonic games I did not play, which some of them were either spin-offs that I didn't think were too important, or some of them were just unplayable. I will say that Sonic Riders I could have played. However, I'm pretty sure Zero Gravity, there was no way of me playing on Dolphin Emulator, so I think that one was always off the cards. And so, in my opinion, I would have to say Sonic 3D games are okay when it comes down to how Sega has executed them. However, they can always improve on stuff. Look no further than Mario, i.e. Super Mario Galaxy, Super Mario Galaxy 2, Mario Odyssey. Mario Odyssey is and was a very ambitious game for the time as a launch title, or around about the launch for the Switch, which was a great idea. However, Sega have stopped making consoles, and therefore they can't do that. So I do think there are things that Sega does which are amazing, and there are also things that they can improve on. Now, this is just my opinion on what I've played, and so it is not 100% informed on some opinions other people might have. I will say, you can have your own opinion, that is 100% fine. This is just how I feel about the games themselves, and I do think that some games are amazing at their core. However, my name is SSS Tips and Tricks, and this has been the end of my Sonic 3D games Retrospective. Thank you for watching.